Hi, my name is Bianca, and the NPC I'm creating is named RavenTheBat. Raven is an NPC that wanders in random directions. The area that she mainly stays in is in caves. She looks like a vampire bat, but instead of blood, she likes to steal rupees. Also, she would be considered an animal enemy type. As she's used for rupees, hearts, and fairy grinding, and shooting practice. She is triggered when a player is within her detection and proximity zone. She interacts only with the player, and if the player is within a 10-tile distance with a 5-tile distance of that distance, she'll shoot a fang. As I go over the coding, I will go over the 11 things on my checklist that I have to organize what I must do. First on the list, create a new project. Check. Second, create the NPC. I used a cube as the base of a level so I can have my NPC moving on something. Next, I set up the cameras and the game display as a 2D viewer so it would go with the same kind of look as Link to the Past. I then created the NPC using a 2D sprite. Now that that is done, we can check it off the list. Next, in order to get the same look for the NPC in the background as Link to the Past, I downloaded 2 asset packages. One was a package of 2D sprites where I found the bat to use as my NPC's skin. The other package I imported was a package used to make a pixel cube world. I used a texture that came with that package as my background for the NPC to give it a cave kind of atmosphere. I then added a 2D rigid body onto my NPC to be able to give it movement. Within my creation, I used one script named NPC movement. Within the NPC movement script, I use many different public and private variables to create references for them to use later on within the script. I specifically used a public float named mSpeed to create a reference for the NPC's movement speed. Next, I used a private rigid body 2D named myRigidBody to create a reference to the 2D rigid body component used on the NPC. I then used public bool named isMoving as a reference to the boolean that will indicate NPC movement. Next, I used public floats named mTime and mCounter as reference to movement time and the movement counter. Next, I used public floats named waitTime and waitCounter as a reference to the wait time and the wait counter used within the game. Lastly, I used a private int named mDirection as a reference to the movement direction. Next, we get to the void start function. Within this function are 3 lines of code. myRigidBody equals getComponentRigidBody 2D, mCounter equals mTime, waitCounter equals waitTime, and direction. The myRigidBody code is used to identify the reference as a 2D rigid body component connected to the NPC. The mCounter equals mTime and the waitCounter equals waitTime are used to show that the counters and times use each other to work within the script. Lastly, the direction code is used to initialize the public void direction function down below. Last but not least, we have void update. Within void update, I have an if and else statement. Within the if statement is mCounter minus equals time.delta time, which is used to set the movement counter to use time in seconds when counting movements. A switch function, which was used to set a location for each direction range that is within the public void direction function. After each vector was set, I added break in order to stop the function from looping on one line of code. Next, an if statement that is used to check if the movement counter is less than 0, and if it is, then make sure the NPC isn't moving anymore and the NPC is waiting for the inputted amount of time set in Unity. The else statement indicates that if the above statement does not happen, then the NPC will choose a random direction and begin walking that way. Finally, we have the public void direction function. This function is used to tell the NPC to choose a random number from 0 to 4, and whatever direction that number indicates above within our switch function, move in that direction. Here's a demonstration of the functionality of the game. As you can see, my values are set to the exact values I stated within my NPC document: 3 speed, 2 second movement time, and a 3 second wait time when the NPC stops. When I press play, the NPC goes in random directions along the X and Y axis at the speed of 3. If I decided I wanted to change the speed, the movement time, and the wait time of the NPC, I can change it within the inspector. As you can see, the NPC started to speed up and have a longer wait time when I inputted 5 speed, 5 movement time, and 5 wait time. This shows us that the code is actually working the way it is supposed to.